Energized show, up the Irish.
Okay, what's going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of Energized. Ross, introduce the guest, man.
We have the Winnipeg Superman, the Ultimate Fighter undefeated champion. It is Brad Katona. Brad, how are you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm doing quite good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in there. We were just saying off the air for the people that are on Spotify, Brad is looking very vascular today, and we were asking him to do how many push-ups he did before the show, and he said 1 million. So we'll see a world record video after this.
Well, you know what they say, Superman doesn't get tired. Isn't that right, Brian? Or Brad?
I do get tired, but no one's seen it. And it's not that I did the push-ups. It's just good lighting in here. That's all, guys.
That's what they all say. But like, Brad, you've had such like an amazing like MMA career. Like, you've come over from Canada to start training in Ireland under John Cavan and SPG. Before we get into this weekend, you're fighting on Brave 53, and it's not to be missed. And we're going to be plugging the whole show. How did you decide to come over to from Canada to Dublin?
You know, trying to think what year it was. Doesn't matter, but my girlfriend Katie Saul, she's an MMA fighter as well, and we were kind of at that point in our career where it was time to, you know, make or break, if you will. It was either we're going to do this or we're not going to do this. You can't be half in, half out. You're either all in or all out. I know for myself, the competition was only going to get stiffer and stiffer. It was only going to get harder, guys, and it's going to be in an accelerated rate. It's not going to be, okay, decent guy is going to be a decent guy, and then it's a good guy. There's going to be jumps, and that's normally what happens in guys' career. It's more like a staircase. So we were at that point, and you know what? We were looking at gyms out there and hearing interviews from John saying that he had Conor McGregor as a superstar, of course, but he wanted to produce more world champions. And I was like, all right, I can be on with a world-class coach who's hungry. You know, that's the hardest thing to find is once someone has success, do they keep that hunger that they had that made them successful in the first place? And at least judging from interviews, it was clear that John did. So we planned a 1-month trip to Ireland. Me, myself, I had never been overseas. You know, I think it was a handful of times I've ever been on a plane. Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, to get the passport new.
Yeah. Had to, you know, fly on over, do that. That was exciting in itself. But staying for a month and training, it was very clear right away that John was hungry. Two, that the room was just a good vibe. SBGS is such a, you know, nice mat to be a part of. Hard training mat, but very respectful and intelligent mat. And you know, with experience, you go other places, it can be different. And you know what? For us as outsiders to come and get attention from John, we got on very well with the team, the room, the atmosphere, everything about it, the coach, and there was, you know, a bond that was starting to slowly build. So it took a year. Worked our butts off. I was working as an engineer still, and you know, saved up and made the move out. And the rest is history. Ultimate Fighter came calling a month or two afterwards, and you know, here we are now.
Yeah, shout out to Katie as well. We were actually meant to have her on before Invicta fight and then all that. That it didn't go through, but shout out Katie as well.
Yeah, she's an absolute legend. And she loves whiskey, which makes me like her even more. Go on. Sorry, Brad, were you going to say something there?
Yeah, I was going to say she's me in the best way, but she's more manly than I am. Unfortunately, I can't handle whiskey. I try. I keep trying. I keep going back to it because I want to appreciate and really enjoy it. But you know, hopefully one day I'll grow some hair on my chest and be able to drink it.
I know that would ruin that lovely physique you have there. Brad, tell me this. Obviously, you were 6-0. You were undefeated. In terms of when you went for the Ultimate Fighter, were you called and asked to try out? Did you go for tryouts, or what way did that come about?
You know, it was kind of crazy. So we came to Ireland November 10th, and the trials were, I believe, December 12th. So, you know, came in after about a week, talked to John about what's next. We talked about, you know, probably building on the regional scene, to get some more fights and get a good amount of experience before, you know, trying to make that jump into the big leagues, if you will. And all of a sudden, about a week later, that changed. He's like, I know we just talked about, you know, building you slower, but there's a shot at going to enter the Ultimate Fighter. They're at featherweight. It's only undefeated guys. I think you should do it. And at the time, I was like, okay, I just saved up all this money to come to Ireland. Rent's not cheap, as you guys know, in Dublin.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that cuts down. That flight is extremely expensive to Vegas, you know, at least for me at the time. Well, still now. But that flight's expensive. 2-3 days in a hotel. That's tough. Katie's like, do it. And I was so at that point, I was like, great, I'll go. And you know, in the application process, there's so many things you need. You need a criminal background check, and for me, you know, I don't have one. But getting a criminal background check when you're in Ireland from Canada, it didn't look doable. Thankfully, about 2 days before, we got it all sorted. I booked a last-minute flight down, and we made it just in time. It seems. You know, it was a gamble because it was literally, you know, probably a couple months of living expenses 2 months of living expenses to go down there and give it a shot. But we were going, you know what? Let's do it because, you know, what are we afraid of? You know, it's a weight class up. That's already not ideal, but, you know, it all worked out in the end. And I'm so grateful to have the impulsive side of me and Katie being like, no, go do it.
Yeah, that was probably one of the last TUFs I like fully followed because yourself and Richie Smullen were on it. Also, shout out Richie, it's his birthday today. But Ross like comes there on for 1 month and he's like, right, I'll calm it down a bit. And then it's like, right, straight to the Ultimate Fighter. And then goes and wins it with like Cormier and Miocic as the coaches. Like what a season.
Yeah, it was an absolutely epic season. And on top of that, as you say, like you won a weight class up. And not only that, like Kyler Phillips and Bryce Mitchell, like two massive wins. Both are currently ranked in the UFC rankings at the moment. And Bryce Mitchell, you know, he still has the moniker of undefeated, and he's known as a submission machine. And our boy Brad Katona, he took him out of there via submission. Do you think that you're maybe one of the most underrated Ultimate Fighter winners of all time?
Yeah, I think I am. I think I definitely am. And you know, things are what they are. As unjust as I believe they were getting released, you know, coming off the guys that I did beat and even like the guy I lost to, Marab, he's close to top 5.
You know what? I think if he had more name recognition, he would be in the top 5. I think, you know, they don't see him as marketable. Also, he's like teammates with Aljo as well. So I don't know if that like goes against him or not in terms of him getting booked in with the top 5.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but he's shown how good he is, and to me that feels like my only loss in the UFC. The Hunter fight is what it is. You know, I don't think the judges got it quite right. Looking at the stats, at least, you know, numbers don't usually lie, but they can sometimes mislook a couple of things. But I believe I won every single stat in the fight, and you know, it just is what it is. I'm in a good home now with Brave.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, I'm looking at capturing a world title here, and you know, if all goes to plan, I should be bringing that back to Ireland at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's the thing. Life's all about timing.
It absolutely is. One question before we move off the Ultimate Fighter is, obviously your coach on the show was Daniel Cormier, and obviously you had some AK guys in there. What did you learn from them during that experience? What did they add to your game in that short time you were with them?
You know, I'll speak about Stipe first because he was the rival coach, but he's such a cool guy, man. He's like the coolest dude ever. You know, not only is he was the greatest heavyweight champ, fireman, kind of man's man, but also like just a child at heart, always having fun, always being super nice to us. I know in my Toronto fight after the Ultimate Fighter, Katie and I were walking around the airport, and all of a sudden she looks behind her and she's like, oh my god, I'm Stipe, like sneaking up on to scare me. And
that's actually just not surprising.
Yeah, right. Like I like the guy. He was very nice. I know he gave out, I think, his gamer tag to half the guys in the house to play online with him, and I'm sure squadding up with him would be quite fun. But he was great to have in the house. Always a great personality. He brought in some good coaches as well, in James Krause, and that's where Katie's at right now, training at Glory MMA to be stateside and for her Invicta fight. And so at least to that team, great guys, and for the guys I had to work with, Daniel Cormier, as you can imagine, being an Olympian, he's been around some great coaches, and that really shows. Having him a part of Whip to Warrior now too, I think is great. But Daniel Cormier was a great coach to have. He brought in Cain Velasquez, great guy. Once again, one of the nicer guys you're ever going to meet. Not as childish as Stipe, and great.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either.
But probably is the most serious looking guy in UFC history.
I think there's a soft side to him. You could tell he cared about the results. The same thing with Daniel Cormier. DC wanted the best for us. Kane, all of the coaching staff. It was really one of those seasons where it felt like everyone was there for us, the fighters. And so to be part of a show like that, being around people like that for an extended period of time it's once in a lifetime opportunity, really, and I'm very grateful of that.
Yeah, I remember Michael Bisping won the Ultimate Fighter, and he said like, you just like that emotion when he lifted it up. I know you get like sort of a, what is it, sort of a plaque. It's like a glass plaque. Yeah, like how did you feel when that like when it was your moment to lift that after like just a manic 2 months, 3 months?
It was really getting out of the house that I found. So it was an emotional acceleration because you were under a pressure cooker the entire time. And in the moment, you've seen that dog cartoon with us, the flames around us. This is fine.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's going on. There's flames around. And I was just trying to appreciate everything that I really tried to enjoy. And I was enjoying the experience. But then once you took the lid off and you let us go, it was an emotional acceleration. Everything you felt in those months just hit you. I'm sure after this camp it'll be something similar. Having been away from Katie for 3 months, being away from my entire family for over a year now, there'll be a bit of an emotional acceleration. But in terms of lifting that trophy, man, I think I visualized it so much that it just felt normal. In the back room, I was saying, man, I can't wait to get that trophy. And there was a coach there, he's like, oh, you should be thinking about the money. I'm like, no, I'm such a sentimental guy that the idea of winning this trophy, I will forever be the TUF 27 undefeated champ. So, for me, getting titles has been what it's about. Obviously, money's nice, but just the memories and like I said, I'm sentimental. It felt so great in the moment, but felt kind of normal.
Yeah, I say that's a great feeling. Yeah,
I do feel fighters who are in it for their legacy and in it to be known as the best, I always think their passion and hunger lasts longer in the game than those who are in it just for a paycheck. So I always have a lot of respect for those fighters, and it's great to see that in yourself, Brad. Tell us this. I assume it's just yourself and John Kavanagh over in Kazakhstan for this fight. Have you ever been to Kazakhstan before? And when you started MMA fighting, did you ever think you would fight in Kazakhstan?
I'd be lying if I said yes. I thought I'd see myself fighting in Kazakhstan. But one of the appeals with signing with Brave was they're somewhere else in the world. They're almost always on the road, and if they're not on the road, they're in Bahrain. So having the opportunity to compete in Bahrain, I'm from Winnipeg in Canada. It's just looking at the map, pointing to myself here, training here in Ireland, fighting here, and then over in Kazakhstan to me, it's mind blowing. it's very cool. And you know, last time I fought basically outside of a castle, you know, in Bahrain. This time I don't know exactly where I am fighting, but it's in Kazakhstan. Like at first, you know, I was hoping to get on an earlier card, maybe in Italy, which would have been nice in some ways. But having the opportunity to go to Kazakhstan is unique. And once again, I don't want to overuse it, but I am grateful for it. You know, it's when else in my life would I be traveling to Kazakhstan, and why would I be traveling to Kazakhstan? Most people would never get to experience this country in their life, and you know, I'm fortunate that I do.
Very nice. Sorry, I just had to put that in. I had to.
Yeah. No, I've been shying away from it. I don't want to insult them. I don't think.
No, you're not. You're not. This is an Irish
I'll
MMA.
I'll let you guys.
It's an Irish MMA with a bit of comedy in it. I know I'm not that funny, but that had to be said.
I do think Kazakhstan on this side of the world is just synonymous with Borat. But if you are into your mixed martial arts, obviously the IMAF World Championships are taking place in Kazakhstan this year.
I'm probably not invited now.
Yeah, you've lost your job there.
You can go, Ross. I won't.
But look, they're turning out some top class MMA talent themselves at the moment. So you know what, I love that Brave actually do a bit of everywhere across the world. I know they sort of stay more to the east, but like I'm okay with that, and we get to see these talents. And one thing I will say about Brave is the ease of watching the cards is brilliant, and that must be nice for you, Brad. I know obviously Bellator have gotten better now that they're on mainstream TV in Ireland. You know, everyone knows where to watch UFC, but like Brave, you just go onto the website. It's like Brave CF TV, and I'm sure we'll put a link for it in the description. And it's so easy to watch, Brad. How nice is that for you when someone asks you, how do I watch a fight? You just say you watch it on Brave's website. That's it. Free.
Yes, it's very nice. And it's always funny. You still get those messages. And you know, most of them, if you're not willing to Google search it, which you haven't, if you ask me how do you watch, I'm not replying. You know, that's the one question I don't reply to people. You know, like the let me Google it for you link. Sometimes I send that, like how to watch Brave CF53. You know, and then spit out the result for them. But it's nice that, you know, speaking to that, the production quality is always great. They treat us quite nicely here. And, you know, it is nice being a part of that promotion because, you know, coming from the UFC, you don't know what step you're going to take. You know, is it going to be parallel? Is it going to be a small step down? Is it going to be a giant leap down to the treatment and what fight week's like? But fortunately with Brave, it's always top notch.
And there'd also be an Irishman in the commentary booth, Mr. Phil Campbell. So, you know what I mean? I know you hail from Winnipeg, but we'll always view you as an honorary Irishman.
Yeah, especially after winning the Ultimate Fighter, we just claimed you.
I'll take it, guys. I'll take it. I think people always fight over those passports, always claim that they're Irish, but you know, the Irish fans are the best. So if they're behind me, you know, it's just crazy to me. It's just absolutely crazy being like my life wasn't bad. I didn't come from anything bad, but just having the opportunities that I have because of mixed martial arts is, you know, it's exciting. You know, it's crazy even talking to you guys, being like, these Irish guys who are behind me who want me to be on the show. How can I say no?
Exactly. You should have. But fair play to you for not doing it. But Brad, obviously you won your debut on Brave 50, and now you're going into Brave 53 this Saturday. When you got the call, like how did you feel? You're like, right, I'm back on the road, going straight to Kazakhstan. How did that all come about, and how excited were you for it?
You know, I was very excited. It's been you know, we're wanting about 3 fights a year, and this is just a little over 4 months. So 4 months removed from my last one, you know, so that's keeping close to pace of what we want, and hopefully I can get another one in December and cap off the year quite nicely. But you know, and I was very excited. I was happy. We went through some opponent difficulties, guys saying no. Quite frankly, I can never be mad that they say no. I'm most surprised when they say yes. and I don't mean that. In all honesty, it's been my career. In Canada, it was generally the booty call last minute. Hey, you want to fight this guy on 3 weeks' notice? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. Thankfully, I was walking around a little bit lighter back then that I could jump on tons of short opportunities. But yeah, I was just grateful to be able to compete. This will be my second fight during the pandemic after a year layoff for all of 2020. And it's so nice to be doing what you love again, not just training, but being able to compete and being able to represent.
And Brad, what does Bear Steppen bring to the table for you come fight night?
From what I've seen of him, he's a high level kind of Russian striker. So when I say that, I mean he's very technically sound. A lot of these Eastern fighters are very technical. You see in Irish boxing a lot more personality with it. In American boxing as well, styles. Well, there is more of a it's more of a personality in these Eastern fighters. They're very rigid and very technically sound, very, very precise. With that said, he throws some pretty great spinning techniques, and I believe he has 7 finishes in his 9 wins. So he's very dangerous. With that said, I look at what I bring to the table, and I think, number one, I'm the most skilled fighter everywhere. I think I'm a better fighter in the intangibles, the toughness, the stuff you can't really put into words, the spirit, I've proved that time and time again. My Bryce Mitchell fight was a war, and I able to grit it out and get the finish with him. And then on the athletic side, I think I'm a freak athlete, and I have great conditioning and power. So it's just, I don't want to be speaking too highly of myself, but these are facts. You look at my fights; these are truths, and I'm facing a very dangerous opponent. But to me, it's if I go out there and I do what I'm capable of, we get the win.
I think you only have to look at you as a physical specimen and see your performances and know that you're a bit of a freak athlete. One thing I want to touch on, I've seen as of late, you've seemed to done a lot of boxing in O'Rourke's gym. Do you think that is going to help out you come fight night, and especially dealing with a high-level striker? He has such a smirk on his face, knowing that I know that he trains in O'Rourke's gym. He loves it.
We know everything here. Well, not really, but we try.
I'm throwing it out on social media, but I appreciate you bringing that up, because it gives me a great opportunity to talk about having Stephen O'Rourke on as my boxing coach, really helping sharpening my hands. And it's been almost a year now I've been working under him, and the levels, we keep talking about the levels, and they keep building. We keep adding on layers and layers, like an onion or Shrek, if you will. But it's been great having a very dedicated boxing coach, and then working with his great boxers at O'Rourke's gym. His son Ryan, Tiernan Bradley's there, and Callum Bradley I did some sparring with before this fight, and there's no way Bayer can match his speed and quite that level of hands. We'll just need to add in the kicking game, so it's been such a vital and supplement shouldn't go in the same word, but it's such a good addition to my fight camps, having him and in the off season getting that accelerated growth. So it's been great working with Stephen, and I appreciate just the passion that he puts in. I have a very passionate coach, John, and now Stephen, and just having that behind me is I'm grateful for it. I try just not to waste their time and always go in there, check in, and take it in for what it's worth.
Yeah, well, Barry will tell you, I love it. We had Max Lally on the show there the other week, and I always look to who I view as the GOAT, probably one of your heroes, George St Pierre. And I always think he went, to sharpen his boxing, he'd be with Freddie Roach, to do his wrestling, he'd be one of the top wrestlers. He'd be with John Danaher for jiu-jitsu. I think, it's great to see someone with an open mind willing to go and get the best discipline training in that field from one of the best guys. And I think give it 5 years time, Stephen O'Rourke will be known as one of the best boxing coaches in Ireland. His stable at the moment is frighteningly good.
Yes, it was evident as soon as I took the first class with him. I went down there and he explained a couple of things that no boxing coach has explained to me before. And now that can, go with some strength conditioning guys, saying there's this new thing or not, it isn't always the best, because, what works. And there's, with boxing, having someone use the words he used, I felt like there was such an understanding, such a depth of understanding. And I don't want to call them old, but the old boxing coaches, the amount of experience they have just from being an athlete themselves, coaching, from guys from the amateurs to the pro ranks, John talked about it with, I can't remember his name, but Connor's boxing coach that he's brought on.
Yeah.
Yes, Phil. The amount of wisdom and knowledge he brought was very enlightening. So having a boxing coach, is always nice. So having once again some of that wisdom and knowledge and expertise is very nice to have. And I think Stephen's only going to, like, his guys are killing it. They're just going to keep accelerating from here.
No, like, yeah, and I'm listening. And the way you mentioned when you speak to someone who has all the knowledge and then you're hearing it and you're like you're on the same wavelength. It's when you find it, it's amazing. But like Brad, obviously we're expecting you to kick ass, and if you say anything less, we're not having you back on the show. But what is the one thing you love most about living in Ireland? Or what's one thing you've done in Ireland that you love the most? Or what's the one thing about Ireland you like the most?
Oh, well, one thing. It's so difficult, I basically the only thing I don't like is being away from family. That is tough, and
yeah, because don't you have a twin brother as well?
Just a brother, not a twin.
Oh, sorry.
He's handsome too, though.
I thought you guys knew everything. Like,
no, I thought you.
That's
we let on. We know
everything.
everything.
Brother, that's the only tough part, not to get too touchy-feely here, but like being away from family sucks. This camp, being away from Katie for 3 months, it sucked. It takes some of the joy out of it. But what I love most about Ireland, SBG is pretty damn good. But that doesn't speak to the country. I've had a chance to tour around, vacation, if you will. I've gone to the West Coast, so I managed to see the Aran Islands. I did the Ring of Kerry and checked out Dingle. All those places to me are so kind of alien for me, for lack of a better word. Places don't look like that in Canada. Going down to Kilkenny and seeing a damn castle. Like, you guys might take it for granted, but for me, we hit quite a few ruins, if you will, of castles. And me seeing it, I'm like, Katie, it's a goddamn castle. Like, look at it. Like, this is insane. Like, this is absolutely insane, being in a pub that's older than Canada. Crazy.
I never really thought about it like that before.
I know, yeah.
A pub that's older than a country.
Yeah, no, I like,
only in Ireland.
Celebrated his 150th birthday a couple years ago. I remember coming home and there was a big candle, 150. And it's like, you get a slow clap for that? I don't know what you like. I was in a pub, 250 years old. Like,
that is crazy. I suppose maybe we do take some things for granted, but one thing you will always find with the Irish is we're extremely proud of where we come from. And
yes.
I'm sure it's the same with the Canadians as well. Like, you know what I mean? You'll never beat the Irish. We'll slag ourselves until the cows come home, but no one else is allowed to insult us, or we get very offended.
Yeah, no. Just on that, the thing I love most about Ireland is probably the fans and how much they get behind you. There's a sense of spirit behind you, talking about the pride of Ireland. But for me, being a Canadian and then going on The Ultimate Fighter, I was walking down the street one day, and this was just as the show started airing. Someone honked and be like, "Oh, Ultimate Fighter, all the best!" Like, it's, for me, mind blowing being, in Dublin and someone knows who I am and is behind me. That's mind-boggling. Like, just imagine going to Canada and everyone knows who you are. Maybe if the show blows up, you know, you guys will be. But for me, it was mind blown, really, and I think that's one that just the support I've got and the spirit behind me is the thing that I appreciate most about Ireland. It's something, once again, that we're grateful, but I'm very grateful for.
That's a great thing to hear. That's actually a great thing here. And also, like, for people who are brave, like last time when we had Blaine on, they gave us a shout out. If they're listening now, bring Brave to Dublin. Like, you have Keane, Blaine, yourself, Glenn, Matisse, and I'm sure the list goes on. But I mean, like, there's already 5 or 6 people that you could sell at an arena in Dublin, you know.
And let's make it for the belt. Why don't we bring it there in December? Is what I'm saying.
That sounds like a good Christmas to me.
That would be the inaugural belt, wouldn't it?
Yes. That would be for the vacant title right now. So we might as well make it in Ireland. I can't see a better place to have it. And you know, I think they want to come to Ireland. So, you know, let's have me headline the show for the title with the hometown crowd behind me. Would be, you know, especially at the end of this pandemic. You know, we'll be in a great spot, and it'll just be, I think, a great experience for everyone.
Yeah. Would you walk out with a Canadian flag in one hand and the Irish flag in the other?
You know what? I'm wary of carrying the Irish flag itself, because, you know,
I'll tell you, it's sort of like if you represent
fought and bled for your flag, you know, you fought and bled for it. So I can't pretend I can just carry your flag. You know, that's something that you guys carry proudly, and it's not that I don't want to, it's that I don't feel like I have the right to. So you know, it would be nice, but maybe down the line. But it's something about, you know, you guys fought for your independence, so it's very tough for me to be, you know, willing just to grab it, you know, for a couple of likes.
Okay, we'll get you a pair of green shorts then. Just something to show your.
We'll get a petition. We'll get a petition going saying, "Can Brad Katona carry the Irish flag in with the Canadian one?"
We'll do it.
Know, you know, I don't know, and maybe the Canadian side of me is just, you know, not wanting to. You know, I wasn't born there. I don't have heritage there, and like I said, like, my blood isn't actually Irish, and you guys, not to get too deep, but you guys literally fought and died for your country. So you know, it's very hard to be like, okay, I'm just going to carry this flag because it means so much to you.
You definitely have more Irish MMA fans supporting you now after this show. Anyway, definitely. Like,
yeah, 100%. We actually love you. We view you as one of our own. When you go and fight, what's it called? Whether you carry the Canadian flag or the Irish flag, we always go, "That's Brad Katona. He's one of our own."
Yeah. When you're in the Ultimate Fighter, I was like, Brad Katona and Richie Swann representing Ireland. I didn't think like twice of it, you know.
Yeah, I always represent SPG Ireland because that's, you know, that's where my base is training, you know, and I'll always be fighting out of Ireland. But yeah, any step beyond that, I have a very, very hard time taking, because I want to be respectful to once again some of the greatest fans in the world, the Irish.
And don't forget, you also sort of have to also be respectful that you're Canadian as well. You know what I mean? You have to represent the Canadian flag as well.
Canadians are easy going. Like
too nice.
Yeah, like they'll apologize to me if I don't carry the flag, you know?
Yeah.
I suppose when you grow up with maple syrup in your coffee every morning, that puts a smile on your face.
Oh, it sure does. I actually made sure I brought some with me this time, you know, because after your weigh-ins, you get usually some pancakes in me, and I was like, you know what? I'm getting some real Canadian maple syrup to bring with me for you know, after weigh-ins. It sounds counterintuitive that you finish weighing in, you go have some pancakes, but you want to get the sugar in you. So I always make sure I bring some maple syrup with me for my pancakes, and you can believe me, I'm looking forward to that.
I love it, Pasmo. Sorry, do you have any last questions, Pasmo?
Yeah, Brad. Obviously, it's Tuesday today. What way are you looking at for the rest of the week? What's the sort of build up like for Saturday, Brave 53?
You know, in terms of myself, my week, we're kind of, you know, John and I are strolling about, exploring Kazakhstan the best we can. Once again, still COVID here, so there are some restrictions, but and you're a little wary of going too far from your hotel with no cell service. Not because it's not a safe country. I feel very safe walking around, but you know, I don't want to get lost and then, having to find someone that speaks English to bring me back to the hotel might be a little challenging. But, for the week, it's about conserving energy, and that's both physical and kind of spiritual and emotional. So I connect with home and Katie as much as I can. And the 11 hours don't make that 11-hour time difference doesn't make that the easiest, but still connect with her, and then kick the feet up, play some Nintendo Switch, and just try to relax. That's about fight week. You can burn so much energy, nervous energy, that I just try to treat it as close to a vacation as you can. Obviously, not with the food you exactly want. Though Tristan Kennedy does keep it going pretty well.
Yeah, shout out Tristan as well, actually.
Yeah,
honestly, when you talk about the build, this is all Tristan, man. Like the aesthetics are all that's all Tristan. And we did scans before and after in this camp to get some data, some DEXA scans, and dieting me down. I lost a good number of kilos, and we looked at my lean mass. It stayed almost exactly the same. So it really speaks to I have to speak to him as a nutritionist, not only for your health, but for your performance and for us as an athlete. I've been so fueled this camp. It's been honestly the best camp I ever had in terms of nutrition. And that just shows to the quality and the level that Tristan is, because he was great before, but he's really, I think, taken things up a notch recently. I've worked with him for years now, but man, it just keeps getting better and better. And having a nutritionist like that. Once again, we're talking about the team, dealing with one of the best nutritionists in the world, Tristan, coaches in John and Stephen O'Rourke. I'm really starting to build a dream team here.
Yeah, what's called tickets to the gun show are on sale right now. Yeah, and then also, like, sometimes you forget, like, the caliber of sparring partners that you have in SPG are absolutely incredible. Like, we always laud, like, the likes of, James Gallagher. I know he's actually over with Katie in James Krause's gym, Gloria May.
Yeah, we had him on, like, last week.
And, like, you obviously have Brian Moore, you have Peter Quealy. I mean, the list goes on and on of, like,
Blaine O'Driscoll, Kieran Clark. On the female side, you have Danny Nealon, you have Dee Begley, and we got amateurs coming up as well. So it's really a full stacked MMA team from the grassroots all the way to the best of the best.
I think nearly every single one of them has been on this show as well. So, we're always representing Irish MMA. Yeah. But Brad, I'm just going to ask you this one question, and it's the last question from me. How did things end up at Brave 53? How did you get your hand raised? Will it be a Stephen O'Rourke masterclass on the feet, or will it be one of those John Kavanagh black belt submissions?
Like John says, the opponent decides how they lose. They get to choose the way they lose. And that's fortunately it. I'm going to keep doing the right things. I have some of the best coaching in the world. And I'm going to keep doing the right things until Bayer stops, and be it after 15 minutes and we get a dominant decision, or, a first round finish. It's just up to me to go out there and perform. And I know the fans love a prediction, but he chooses how he loses. And, I hope he chooses early on, because I'd like to start celebrating.
Basmo, you got anything?
No, I actually really enjoyed this. Hopefully, Brad, you enjoyed it as much as we did, and hopefully the people tune in now will make sure to watch Brave this Saturday as well. Ross, anything else to say?
No, just thanks a million for anyone who's watching. Brad, thanks a million for your time. Shout out to Katie. I'm sure she'll be watching this. We'll make sure to get her on ahead of her next Invicta fight. She is an absolute legend. If you have watched this video, make sure to leave a comment in the comment section. Show Brad some support over on his Instagram page. Give it a like, give it a share. And as always, stay energized.
Energized show, up the Irish. Been sussing you guys a couple of times. I've seen a couple of clips. I think you've done some interviews with Dylan Moran and that I saw. So keep going, keep up the good work, guys.